Well, hey there, Aletheia Church. I hope that you are either having a wonderful Easter Sunday or that you had a great Easter and are enjoying time in your gospel community as you watch this video. And I just want to spend a few minutes just recapping my sermon from Sunday, which I had entitled Faith is Greater Than Fear, where we looked at the story of Jesus' resurrection in Matthew chapter 28. And one of the things I made sure to kind of point out in the early part of my sermon was what we are going to see really in many ways in Matthew 28 is Jesus really giving us an invitation to exchange our fears in life for faith in Him. And one of the things I know that is a reality for all of us is that all of us wrestle with fears on some level. Even this past year, obviously, with COVID-19 and the coronavirus, right? We've dealt with the fear of becoming sick or a loved one becoming sick and not wanting to spread the virus, and what actually is going on, and is the vaccine safe, and are masks helpful, right? We've just dealt with so many various things, but we also struggle with other fears, whether it be finances, how are our children going to turn out? Am I going to graduate? What's my career going to look like? Who am I going to marry? Right? Jesus's invitation to us is to take those fears, give them over to Him, and exchange our fear for faith in Him. And so one of the things I said is if we look at those first 10 verses in Matthew chapter 28, we're going to see fear addressed 4 different times. We see the fear of the Roman soldiers as they tremble and become like dead men. We see the angel address the women and telling them not to fear. It says that they then left from talking with the angel with fear and great joy, and then Jesus Himself meets them and tells them not to be afraid, but to go and tell the disciples what they had dealt with. And one of the things we said is that there are 5 basic fears that all human beings experience, right? That's the fear of extinction. That's the fear of mutilation. That's the fear of the loss of autonomy, the fear of separation, and the fear of ego death, or another way to put that one is humiliation or shame. So, things like even like being afraid to speak in public would fall under that one. And we said that the guards experienced some of those, but that the women at the tomb experienced all 5 of those things. They feared their very lives. They feared that they might be punished or beaten in some way for showing up to the tomb. They feared the abandonment. They feared the rejection of the disciples. And then ultimately, in some ways, they also fear that they might even be arrested and lose their autonomy. And what we said is that Jesus met the women who went to His tomb in that fear and invited them to trust Him instead. And one of the things I made sure to point out is that Jesus can relate with us in our fear because He experienced every one of those fears on the cross, in His crucifixion, and in His death, burial, and resurrection. And hopefully you will spend some time in your gospel community working through that. But that ultimately we can trust Jesus in our exchange of fear to faith. Right? We saw at the end of Matthew 28 that some worshiped Him, but some still doubted, and yet Jesus still met them and gave them the Great Commission, and that we know we can trust Jesus because in His resurrection, all authority has been given to Him. Right? This means that whatever is going wrong, whatever we fear, Christ has authority over it. Whether we're afraid of our finances, whether we're afraid that whether we're going to pass school or not, whether we're afraid that we'll ever get married or that our marriage is falling apart, that if God could hold it together, we fear dying, our fear, our health situation, that in Christ, God has the power to deliver us from that fear and from what is the circumstances that are inciting that fear. And so, lastly, we saw that Jesus' final promise to his disciples and to us was this. And behold, he's saying, look, I am with you always to the end of the age. Right? Jesus promises that if we exchange our fear for faith in him, that he is with us and that he will be with us. I hope that you guys will spend time tonight talking about what might be driving you to fear, but also in what ways God meets us and helps us to overcome those fears. I hope that you have a great time in Gospel Community. I love you guys. I'm praying that God would meet you in your time together. Have a great week. Go and be the church.